Russia is spiraling into a new crisis, one detonated not by foreign intelligence but by Putin's own security services. The stunning scandal erupts inside Russia as Kremlin operatives leak the private life of General Gerasimov's circle, exposing a secret mistress tied to one of the most powerful families in the Russian military elite. The lover and mother of the illegitimate daughter of the head of the General Staff of the Russian Federation, Valery Gerasimov, Elena Selifanova, got a job in the Ministry of Defense and elite real estate in the center of Moscow. The Telegram channel Paspertin blog first drew attention to Selifanov. The Proact verified data on the general's love affair as part of the Fathers and Grandfathers project. 70-year-old Valery Gerasimov has an official wife, his age, Olga Gerasimov. In 1994, they had a son, Yevgeny Gerasimov. It is not known when and under what circumstances the head of the General Staff started a relationship with the 47-year-old Elena Selifanova. But in March 2014, the couple gave birth to an illegitimate daughter, Ksenia. After 5 years, in 2019, Gerasimov acknowledged paternity and gave the girl his last name, as evidenced by leaks. Before the birth of his daughter, Elena Selifanova worked in little-known companies that were engaged in the trade of products, clothes, real estate management, and was also an employee of the Moscow hotel Aeroplaza. After maternity leave, Selifanova was assigned to military unit number 33877 of the Ministry of Defense and then to the ministry itself, where she worked for 5 years, retiring in September 2021. In 2018, Gerasimova's lover was awarded the class rank of first-class civil service officer. What Selifanova has been doing in recent years is not known for sure. At the same time as moving up the career ladder, the woman began to get real estate in the center of Moscow. In 2019 to 2020, Selifanova bought 2 small apartments in the Tagansky district and a 100-meter apartment in Khamovniki with a total cost of 118 million rubles. In 2024, she became the owner of a 124-meter apartment in a historic building on Serafimovich Street, known as House on the Waterfront and House of Government, where representatives of the Soviet elite lived. The price of this apartment can be 116 million rubles, according to the real estate sales announcements studied by the agency. Selifanova moves on Porsche Cayenne and Lexus cars. After the beginning of the aggression against Ukraine in 2022, Gerasimova's lover began to actively travel to Turkish Antalya at least 7 times in 2022 to 2023, according to the data on crossing the border studied by the editors. Elena Selifanova's brother, Sergei, has also settled down well in life. Now he works as the head of the office of the president of the independent oil and gas company, Eduard Kudainatov, an associate and nominal head of the state-owned Rosneft, Igor Sechin.
The Russian Defense Ministry has shared a video showing Russian soldiers moving freely through the southern part of Pokrovsk city in eastern Donetsk region and patrolling deserted streets. In the video, Russian soldiers can be seen moving freely without any obstacles along the empty streets. There is no fighting in the video. Pokrovsk, dubbed by Russian media as a gateway to Donetsk, has been the venue of heavy fighting for several months now as Russian troops have been pushing towards the strategic city despite Ukrainian army's efforts to hold ground. Russian maps now show the city under Russian control and Ukrainian troops encircled in Myrnohrad near Pokrovsk. By comparison, Ukrainian maps show Pokrovsk as a gray zone. The Russian Defense Ministry wrote on its official Telegram channel that service members of the grouping provide medical assistance and supply medicines and food to Pokrovsk civilian residents. If necessary, anyone wishing to leave is evacuated to a safe area at a temporary accommodation facility, where they receive assistance, the ministry stated. It added that during the inspection of residential areas, Russian servicemen check the roads and surrounding territory for explosive devices, destroying any dangerous items they find using a shaped charge method. Meanwhile, deep state intelligence source has rejected reports of Russia's capture of Yampol village in Donetsk region as well as claims by Valery Gerasimov, chief of the General Staff of the Ukrainian Armed Forces that Russian army has captured Kupiansk, 80% of Vovchansk in Kharkiv region, and 70% of Pokrovsk. Meanwhile, the General Staff of Ukrainian Armed Forces on Thursday reported repelling 55 Russia assaults in the Pokrovsk sector, and 200 combat clashes along the entire front line. The number of Russian troops in Kupiansk has decreased over the past week and is now estimated at around 50 invaders. Viktor Trihobov, head of communications for the Joint Forces grouping, said this. According to him, the scenario the enemy had hoped for 10 days ago when they attempted to break through into the southern part of the city did not materialize and has instead worsened for them, Militarny reports. The situation has now become difficult for the enemy, who remains only in the northern areas of the city. According to Intercepted, the enemy has slightly fewer than 50 personnel left, and they are now cut off both from one another and from their main forces because their effective logistics have been disrupted, Trihobov said. According to Trihobov, contrary to the statements of the Russian leadership, there is no and has not been an encirclement of Ukrainian troops in Kupiansk. Moreover, there is a tendency for the Russians to gradually lose control over the city and the areas where they were. He admitted that the situation is difficult for both sides. The city does not have effective logistics on the Russian side, and it is extremely complicated on the Ukrainian side. This means that those units that are directly in the city suffer from the inability to normally receive either ammunition replenishment or sometimes even food. However, the Ukrainians have better logistics and there are fewer Russians left. The situation for them is somewhat more difficult, Trihobov added. The situation also remains difficult on the Ukrainian bridgehead on the left bank of the Oskil River. According to Trihobov, due to the enemy's failure to capture the city itself, they have shifted their efforts to the eastern outskirts of Kupiansk, attempting to eliminate the Ukrainian Defense Forces bridgehead altogether. This information is also confirmed by Yuri Fedorenko, commander of the 429th Achilles Unmanned Systems Regiment. According to him, the enemy is constantly striking the defense forces crossings, which have to be repaired repeatedly. He uses aviation, missiles, and various types of drones to make movement toward the left bank bridgehead impossible. The engineering units responsible for establishing the crossings are doing a tremendous job, he emphasized. In this case, soldiers of the 8th SOF Regiment destroyed a building where Russian troops were positioned in central Kupiansk, using TM-72 anti-tank mines. The regiment's press service released video footage showing the actions of the 8th SOF Regiment operators in the Kharkiv region. During reconnaissance, the SOF team detected enemy forces inside one of the buildings. The enemy had numerical superiority and fortified firing positions. The SOF team broke contact without losses. The building where the enemy had been holding its defense was later completely destroyed using TM-72 mines, the statement said. OSINT researcher Belitseling on the social network X identified that the events shown in the video took place near the city's central square.